Rich Tarani here with TMC. Thanks for watching. We're at ITEXPO Las Vegas 2014. We've got Scott Nelson on the program. He's with LogicPD. And Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I thought we'd start off by talking a little bit about your company, the overview.
Yeah. So LogicPD is a company that for over 50 years has been helping other companies launch new products that accelerate growth. Over the past 5 or so years, we've kind of transformed from a traditional product realization company to what we call an IoT product realization company to really include everything that the IoT mid-market OEMs have to launch a new product, a new offering in some cases. Sometimes there's software only, sometimes software and hardware. So long history of design, engineering, fulfillment, supply chain management, manufacturing, the whole thing.
So competitively, where do you sit in the market? In other words, if a company doesn't work with you, what are their alternatives?
Yeah, well, our biggest competitor, we do a strategy canvas analysis. Our biggest competitor is usually our customers themselves because they have their own internal engineering and manufacturing capabilities. But in the market space, we actually compete with a number of different companies. Sometimes we compete with design houses, design only at the front end of a development. We compete with the large CEMs that have engineering once in a while. But most of the time it's kind of a competition with do it inside or not do it at all. We don't lose to competitors as often as we lose to the decision that a product doesn't go forward after some analysis or that it's going to be done internally versus externally.
So value proposition, I would imagine, I mean, we're sitting at a time right now, I mean, we're here, part of ITEXPO is this M2M Evolution conference, which
Right.
actually is going to get renamed to IoT Evolution by the time this video airs. We're talking about a multi-trillion-dollar industry based on what the analysts are saying over some years. I mean, it's just staggering.
Yes.
And when you think that any item of anything just about will have some kind of tag and be traceable and trackable, it seems to me that there's a time to market challenge there where even a 25% decrease in time to market could yield vast amounts of increased revenue, market share, ROI. Is that one of the ways that you sell your service?
Well, absolutely. We have a very unique approach to market that comes from our design history and the need of this new market. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's $15 trillion, I think the number GE uses, and if you're in the product development and the new product development, and realization business as we are, pretty much everything we do is going to be connected and have transitioned to the digital economy. And what we've learned a couple of things while doing this over the past couple of years. The first is that particularly mid-market OEMs traditionally selling products, really struggle with the transition that they have to make of converting from customers to subscribers. And that's a huge change for a lot of companies. You don't just sell things once, you sell things continuously and in an ongoing fashion. And the only way you're going to do that successfully is to have what we call just an unrelenting value proposition. So one of the first things we had to do was transform our design front end, our industrial design front end, into a design and business modeling front end. So the designers, we do workshops with customers to focus on what is the value proposition that's going to sustain this new offering, and how, what pains is it going to fix, how are customers going to be accepting of this, and what will they pay for it. We then have to help them transform into business models that can maintain that. And time to market is important in two ways. One, because it's such a competitive market right now, everybody is trying to do this. And secondly, in order to really develop a value proposition that's sustainable over a long period of time, you have to iterate fast, and you have to iterate frequently with users, not with internal engineering teams, not with internal marketing teams, but you have to iterate with users and get out and spin fast. We've adapted our stage gate development process into more of a lean startup agile process that spins on 30-day cycles, gets to customers as fast as 30 days in cycles. And you have to do that if you're going to learn what works and what doesn't work and still get to market fast enough. You can't spend 9 to 12 months before you try something in this market space. You got to move faster.
And what trends are you seeing other than obviously speed's crucial?
The other thing is really a big change in what we would call supply chain. As a manufacturing company and a design company, we have traditionally defined the supply chain and then managed the supply chain. But typically the supply chain is hardware, it's components, it's relatively static. In the IoT space, you're not really managing a supply chain so much anymore as you're managing an ecosystem. And it's an ecosystem that is integrated into your operations. So you have to have good partners, you have to have reliable partners, and you have to have partners that are able to move as fast and as agile as the OEM has to move in order to stay competitive and stay ahead. You know, lots of changes, lots of iterations on the value proposition.
Now, are there any things that you've seen in the market which need room for improvement? In other words, if you had to give some advice as to what not to do when getting into the market or expanding in this market?
Yeah, two things that I would say. The first is companies have to just accept that they have to move faster. I mean, there's still a lot of traditional OEMs who are used to 9-month, 12-month, 18-month cycles, and they think they have time to think about things. And there's a lot more doing and a lot less thinking in this space right now. You got to get out. The startups, the crowdfunding, everybody else is moving. If you're not moving, you're really getting behind. And the other is you really have to stay focused on users. You know, you have to really focus on not the middle part of the value chain, not the suppliers, not your channel partners. You got to manage all that, but if you aren't really focused on end users, your engineering team, your marketing team, everybody has to be focused on end users because they're the ones that have to continually, you know, not only use the product but now pay for the product, basically. And that's a pretty significant change.
It's interesting. It's similar to what Apple might have taught the PC world, and that is that really it's more important to focus on the end user than even the IT department.
Experience, that's right. We talk a lot about experience. Our legacy in design, we were founded over 50 years ago by designers, leads us to managing experience. A lot of people talk about experience, but it's very important to do it right, and to be honest, you do it right by getting in front of users frequently and talking to them about what they really like and what they don't like, and having, of course, the tools, everything from 3D printing to rapid agile software development to make sure that you get prototypes in front of people really fast.
That's great. Well, Scott, thanks for being on the program. This is
Yes,
fantastic.
thank you, Rich.